Right, some bad news on the development front. One of the parts failed quality control. We know how to fix it, but it'll take some extra resource. It's on hold for now, but you can order the extra work from the laptop at any time.
What is up, people, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode here at the Bahrain Grand Prix for round 3 of Season 2. And after 22 races, our streak has finally come to an end. After 18 upgrades, we have never had a development failure before, but finally it has happened here today at the Bahrain Grand Prix. The chassis weight reduction wiring loom that we had scheduled for this race weekend has unfortunately failed, which means it's going to cost an extra 450 resource points to get that fixed and then available for the next round, which is the Russian Grand Prix. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can build enough resource points amongst this weekend and be able to sort that out. It's a little bit annoying, a little bit frustrating that this has happened, but we've been quite lucky in terms of development failures compared to other F1 YouTubers. Of course, those guys have been getting quite a lot of development failures over the course of the season. But nevertheless, let's get into this race weekend at the Bahrain Grand Prix, a circuit where we did okay at last season. We unfortunately just missed out on the points in Season 1. It is a circuit which the Renault, I feel, does struggle a bit because it's got no straight line speed really compared to the other cars. Of course, you've got the Mercedes powered cars and the Ferrari powered cars, which are faster than us. It's only really the Sauber and the McLaren that is going to be slower than us this weekend. But going into the practice sessions, doing the track acclimatization now, and we're going to try and get our first 50 points of the race weekend, which we do. And there we go, 50 points added to the resource bank, and hopefully by the end of this episode we will be able to upgrade that weight reduction once again for the chassis, because of course we need the chassis and the aerodynamics to sort of catch up with the powertrain. Our powertrain is actually not too bad, but it's not quite as good as some of the other teams. That's why we still need to make some improvements in that area. But then now doing the tyre wear test and getting a purple score in that one, that's another 50 points added to the bank, so we're very happy with that one as well. And then jumping into the fuel management one, this is, unfortunately we didn't beat the target time in the first lap, but this time around it looks like we're just about going to get the purple score, which we do. There we go, lifting off as we came across the line as well to help ourselves out even more and getting the purple score on that one. So far 150 points out of the 3 sessions as Danny Kvyat gets very, very close to our car there. But ending practice 1 in a session that doesn't really mean too much compared to the rest of the weekend. We finished that session down in 17th, although we were doing tests that, like I say, don't matter at all, and we don't really need to see whereabouts we are amongst the other drivers. This is the important one, doing the qualifying run though, and unfortunately look how close we are to beating the green score, and you don't know how many times I tried that session. That's why the weave of frustration came out, and sort of put my car into the wall. Didn't really mean to do that, but the frustration definitely coming out at the end of that practice session. Unfortunately, not able to get the target time for the qualifying run, but now doing the race strategy one, and it looks like we are going to get a purple score on this one. So far, overall, this whole entire weekend, we have got 200 resource points, which is very, very good news. We let Valtteri Bottas through there on the left-hand side. So 200 resource points added to the bank, which means that we should be on target to make that upgrade by the end of this race weekend. And finishing the second practice session ahead of my teammate. Unfortunately, it is way down the field in P15. Like I said, the Renault isn't particularly good around this circuit, so just beating the Saubers and the McLaren. So hopefully we can pick up the pace as the weekend goes on, but it's not looking very positive after the first 2 practice sessions. But can we improve on that? Let's find out as we head over to the qualifying session for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
The cars are ready, the drivers are ready. We hope you're ready as qualifying is about to begin here in Bahrain.
It's qualifying time here at the Bahrain Grand Prix, coming through the final corner now for our first lap here in Q1. It needs to be a good one. We need to get ourselves up into the top half of the field to get ourselves into that Q2 session. So far though, it does look pretty good, a 130.982, which at the moment is better than Kevin Magnussen's time, who is currently in P8. And here we are on our second lap time now in this Bahrain Grand Prix through the final corner once again. Unfortunately, it looks like we have dropped down the field a little bit, only just ahead of the McLaren of Stoffel Van Dorn, but this lap is only just an improvement there, beating our previous best lap time by 38 thousandths of a second. It does improve, but unfortunately it doesn't improve our position, but that could be vital at the end of the session. If we don't improve, that could be vital to get through. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it is, as we're now down in 16th place at the moment, but we are 4.5 tenths up on our previous best lap time so far. Through the final corner, it still looks pretty decent. Good acceleration out of that final corner as well. Down towards line, DRS open. What's the time going to be good enough for? Does it move us up in the standings and get us through into Q2? Yes, it does. Just about by the skin of our teeth there, getting into the top 15 shootouts in Q2. And there we go, P15 at the end of the day. Very, very happy with that lap time. I suppose it wasn't too much by the skin of our teeth, beating Kevin Magnussen there by 0.3 of a second. So that was actually a pretty decent lap time from myself. Coming through the final corner once more, this time around in Q2. And this is trying now to get into the top 10 shootout. Qualifying pace from Q1 wasn't exactly the best. A 1:30.9 isn't the best of laps either. We know that we can knock off about 0.5 of a second from that lap time. So hopefully we can do that over the course of the rest of this race weekend. The rest of this qualifying session as well as you go through this right hand there. Nice and tidy at the moment. We're looking about 0.4 up on our previous best lap time, but it wasn't as good as our previous lap time through that corner. So unfortunately we are losing a little bit of time down this straight into the final corner. Now can we build up a little bit of pace through there? Running it on the curbs, quite a bit on the curbs actually, losing quite a lot of time out to the final corner. It is going to be an improvement, but what will the time be good enough for in the standings? We're just going to have to wait and see, and unfortunately it's just not good enough to get us into the top 10 shootout. Unfortunately, qualifying down in 11th position at the end of the day, which is a little bit frustrating. Also to lose out on my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg as well. Unfortunately, we were just not quick enough. We weren't quick enough here today, especially to my teammate as well. 0.5 off of the pace of my teammate and getting knocked out with the likes of Carlos Sainz, Felipe Massa, Danny Kvyat and Lance Stroll. It is good news that we did manage to beat both of the Williams and the Toro Rosso drivers. Of course, the Williams should be quite quick at this circuit because of the straight line speed that they do have, but unfortunately they just couldn't make it work through the corners, and we do manage to beat them here today. But losing out by just less than 1/10 of a second to Esteban Ocon is a little bit unfortunate. If we could just get into that Q3 session, that would have beaten the team's objectives as well, and they would have been very, very happy with me, because of course we're not even the first driver at the moment. We've had a fantastic start to the season and a great season one. We're still not the first driver yet in this F1 2017 career mode. We're just going to have to wait and see when that will happen. But what can we do from 11th on the grid as we head over to the race for the Bahrain Grand Prix?
It's our very own Anthony Davidson. Great to see you again today.
Thanks for that, Crofty. And I'm really anxious to get underway here. We've got all the makings of a great race today. World champions in competitive cars, lots of drivers on form, and I suspect a few strategists on the pit wall looking to try something a bit different and maybe jump their cars up the order.
Before we get into today's race, so let's take a look at the starting order for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And starting in pole position is the Ferrari man, Sebastian Vettel, with Valtteri Bottas alongside him on the front row of the grid. On the second row of the grid, we have Kimi Räikkönen in third place and Lewis Hamilton alongside him in P4. Then on the third row is both Red Bull drivers, Daniel Ricciardo 5th and Max Verstappen in 6th. Then it's both the Force Indias with Perez 7th, Ocon in 8th. Then Nico Hulkenberg lines up in P9 with Roman Grosjean 10th. Myself down in 11th place, just missing out on the top 10 here today. Sainz in 12th, Massa in 13th, Kvyat 14th, then we have Stroll in 15th and Kevin Magnussen in 15th. Then in 17th it's Fernando Alonso. Pascal Wehrlein qualifies in 18th position for today with Marcus Ericsson in 19th and Stoffel van Dorn at the back of the grid in P20. So that is your starting order for today's Bahrain Grand Prix. We of course are starting in P11 for today's race. So what can we do from just outside the top 10 in today's race? We'll be aiming for points, of course. We missed out on points last round at the Chinese Grand Prix thanks to a really poor strategy from myself. Going for that one stopper on the intermediate tyres did not work out. But for today, it's going to be super softs, softs, then mediums for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and hopefully that will be a strategy that gets us into the points here today. So what can we do in the Bahrain Grand Prix as we go to 5 red lights? It is lights out, and away we go for today's race, and it's a fantastic start there compared to Roman Grosjean on my right hand side. Looks like a pretty decent start as well to Esteban Ocon as we switch over to the inside line, try and get the inside line down in towards turn 1. We go 3 wide with Ocon and Hulkenberg down in towards turn 1 into turn 2, having to hold it round the outside. The yellow flag has come out. The two Ferraris have gone into each other and into the wall as well. Both of the Ferrari drivers, one of them is out. There are only 19 runners left in this Bahrain Grand Prix. So one of the Ferrari drivers are now out of this Bahrain Grand Prix. That is disaster. Disaster for the two Ferrari guys. Of course, they were both leading the championship in the Constructors, and Sebastian Vettel was well clear in the Drivers' Championship as well. The virtual safety car has come out because of that collision. It was a great start for myself to move up now into what is, I believe, 6th position at the moment, behind both of the Red Bull drivers. Of course, we've got Sergio Perez up in, I believe it is P3 at the moment as well, which is not a good position for us. We need to get those Red Bull drivers past Sergio Perez as soon as possible, as now the virtual safety car has come in, which means we are green once again, and we can go racing. So, can we get the Red Bull driver of Daniel Ricciardo? Unfortunately, we're just not close enough to go for the overtake at the end of that straight, and for now, we're just going to have to settle behind Daniel Ricciardo. I don't believe that I'm going to have the pace to catch up to those drivers. Of course, we were struggling with pace over the whole course of this weekend, especially with our long runs as well. But let's have a look at a replay as Sebastian Vettel has been awarded a stop-go penalty for a severe collision with Kimi Räikkönen, which means Kimi Räikkönen is the guy who is out of today's race. He's DNF'd from the Bahrain Grand Prix, and there was just a slight amount of contact between the two of them, where they went 3 wide down through turn 2. Unfortunately, it looked like Valtteri Bottas sort of pinched both of them. Then they had nowhere to go. There was contact made. A fantastic start, though, from Kimi Räikkönen. Unfortunately, he is out of today's race, but that was an amazing start there from the Finnish driver. He goes side by side with Bottas and Sebastian Vettel, and there they go, just getting pinched. And unfortunately for Kimi Räikkönen, just sort of lost the back end, went into the path of Sebastian Vettel, and was destined to go into the barrier. And unfortunately, that was where he lost his front left tyre and is now out of today's race. We have a look at a replay on board with Sebastian Vettel, who has now moved down into 19th position. He tried to go around the outside of both these guys down in towards turn 1, which seemed good enough at the moment, and then in towards turn 2. Unfortunately, it just was not wide enough for the 3 of them, especially with Valtteri Bottas not exactly giving enough room for both those drivers, and that is how Sebastian Vettel is now way down the back of the field. So we now have a look at a replay of my start. It was a pretty good start there from myself, moving up into P6, getting past Roman Grosjean on the right, then sort of up the inside of Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg. And then we were helped out massively by both the Ferrari drivers that you can see on the left-hand side of your screens, taking each other out. We did get past momentarily one of the Red Bull drivers, but unfortunately the virtual safety car came out a little bit too early for my liking, so we had to give that position back to, I believe it was Max Verstappen. As we're now cutting ahead to lap 6 of this Bahrain Grand Prix. And I now have Nico Hülkenberg, my teammate, for company in today's race. So he's probably going to go for a look down in towards turn 1. Here he is on the back of my tail. Will he go for an overtake round the outside in towards turn 1? Of course, we're going to get the inside line and the defensive line in towards that corner. Then he's going to have the inside line through turn 2. So we have to go round the outside of Nico Hülkenberg, but it does look like we have got the job done through that corner. Nico Hülkenberg now coming under pressure from the Toro Rosso driver, which I believe is that Danny Kvyat or is that Carlos Sainz? I think it might be Danny Kvyat, but I'm not actually 100% sure. So they're going side by side in towards this sort of S's section in the start of Sector 2 of this Bahrain Grand Prix. Can he get the job done and stay in front of the Toro Rosso? Of course, we want to get maximum points this weekend for the Renault team. We need to sort of play catch-up after a disappointing weekend at the Chinese Grand Prix, and now we cut ahead to lap 8. And it looks like it is time for my scheduled pit stop, as we run it a little bit too wide there on the exit of the final corner, showing that there maybe is not as much grip as we would have liked through that final corner. So it's now time to come into the pits for a set of soft tyres, sticking to the strategy that the team wanted me to go for, going on to the soft tyres, and we will be taking these bad boys all the way to about lap 15, 16, when we will go onto the medium tyres as well. So it looks like we have a pretty decent stop there, 2.4 second stop from the Renault crew, coming out ahead, of course, of the Williams driver as well. And whereabouts does it put us? P13 in some nice clean air as well. We had a McLaren not too far ahead of us. He's starting on the soft tyres, going for a slightly different strategy to ourselves. So it looks like we're going to have some nice clean running at the moment, which is good because Nico Hülkenberg hasn't come into the pits. So we need to push like hell on this outlap to make sure we come out the pits around about where Nico Hülkenberg is out on track. So here we go. Lap 9 at the moment. Whereabouts is Nico Hülkenberg going to be when he comes out of the pit lane? Well, here we go down the start, finish straight. We've got a lot of drivers coming into pits at the moment. There is Nico Hülkenberg coming out of the pits on the right-hand side. It's going to be side by side between the two of us. Going to go round the outside of turn 1, give him lots of room through that corner. It looks like we have got the job done, but we sort of pinched on our exit and our entry through turn 2. So we didn't get a great exit out of that corner. That's going to allow Nico Hulkenberg to maybe have a pounce around the outside down in towards turn 3. Here he goes, under braking, so much better under braking there from my teammate. And it looks like he's trying it round the outside, down through turn 3. It's going to go side by side now into the S's section, holding it with Nico Hulkenberg, but just about getting the job done through turn 5, and there we go, holding on to position ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, which is absolutely fantastic. I think at the moment we've only lost one position. There's only one guy who is still yet to come into the pits in this race. No, I think there's 2 drivers actually, as we're now down in P9 at the moment. And it looks like Felipe Massa has indeed come out ahead of us. I think Fernando Alonso is yet to pit as well, so he's way up the road at the moment, but he would definitely come out behind us. But Felipe Massa has come out ahead of me. So unfortunately, we have lost one position there to the Williams driver. But now we're under pressure once again from not only my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg, but it looks like the Force India of Esteban Ocon wants to get involved as well. To go down in towards turn 1 now. Ocon is going to make it 3 wide into turn 1, holding the inside line, taking it nice and slowly, nice and cautiously as we go 3 wide into turn 2 as well. But both those guys getting pinched on the inside line. We went very wide through that corner to make sure that we avoided contact with both of them. And there we go, moving into, well, sort of holding on to that position as well as Nico Hulkenberg looking like he's going to go for another try here on lap 16 of this Bahrain Grand Prix. Right to my tail at the moment. What can he do down in towards turn 1? So now he's taken the slipstream and the DRS in towards that corner. Here goes Nico Hulkenberg on the left-hand side. Looks like Esteban Ocon is a little bit too far back to try the overtake. Up the inside once again under braking, but unfortunately just not good enough to get the job done on Nico Hulkenberg. But a great exit through turn 2, and unfortunately we just went straight into the back of Nico Hulkenberg. No contact, but just sort of got hold up by my teammate. Now we're going to dive it up the inside in towards turn 3. It looks like we might get the job done against my teammate. Slight amount of contact there between the two of us, but we get the job done and we move up into the position once again, holding on to this position, doing a fantastic job of defending against these guys. And the train is now forming behind us. We have Hulkenberg behind us, we have Ocon, we have a Haas driver and 2 Toro Rossos, and I think there is going to be another driver who is looking to join onto the back of this train fairly soon as well. As we cut ahead now to lap 18, surely it is time for me to come into the pits for the medium tyres, which we do. Finally coming into the pits. I sort of predicted it was going to be around lap 16, but I was a little bit wrong with that. It's actually lap 18 that we have come into the pits for this Bahrain Grand Prix. So here we go into the pits for a new set of medium tyres that are going to take us all the way to the end of the race, and hopefully we can have another quick pit stop from the Renault crew. The tyres are on and away we go. 2.4 seconds once again from the Renault crew, so a lovely quick pit stop there from the team, and we can be very, very happy with that. But whereabouts does it put us? P13 once again, out this time behind Esteban Ocon, just about, who's running behind us before we came into the pit stop phase. The undercut has worked perfectly for the Force India driver, and we have come out just ahead as well of the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel. So it's probably going to be a matter of time before Sebastian Vettel does get past us. But for this lap, we need to push like hell. We need to push so hard to make sure that we stay ahead of Nico Hulkenberg. We've already lost position to Esteban Ocon, and I doubt that I'm going to be able to get a position back from the Force India driver. But if we can get ahead of my teammates, then that should be a good job, because of course we do want to battle with him across the rest of the season. So whereabouts is Nico Hulkenberg going to be? The DRS from Esteban Ocon is really, really helping, but it looks like Hulkenberg has come out ahead of us, braking down towards turn 1, very late on the brakes, finding the smallest of gaps between the two drivers, pinched on the inside of turn 2. Little bit of contact between myself and Nico Hulkenberg, but we've got the job done, and that has got to be one of the best overtakes I have ever done on a Formula 1 game ever. That was absolutely incredible. Up the inside of Ocon, around the outside of Nico Hulkenberg at the same time. So late under braking, but somehow getting the job done on both of those drivers, and that was absolutely incredible. Like, picking the smallest of margins between those two drivers was absolutely incredible. Now coming under pressure from Sebastian Vettel, going a little bit defensive against him, even though we don't really stand a chance against the Ferrari man. Now moving over to the left-hand side to sort of get the best possible line through this corner, and just sort of backing out on exit of this corner. There's no point really fighting with Sebastian Vettel, even though that was a terrible line through turn 2. But like I say, no point really fighting the Ferrari man, because he's just going to be so quick. And if we do fight him, it's just going to hold us up and allow these guys to sort of get even more behind us. We've already got a big train behind us. And at this point in the race, I wasn't really too focused down this straight. I was just sort of sorting out my OFD on the right-hand side. And then all of a sudden, Esteban Ocon comes out of nowhere up the inside. And a very nice side-by-side battle between the two of us through that left-hander, then through the right. Luckily, having the inside line and getting the job done on the Force India of Esteban Ocon. But yeah, paying absolutely no attention, sort of really underestimating the straight line speed that Force India does have in this game. It's really quick in a straight line, and I just need to make sure that I don't underestimate it again. Here we go down in towards the start-finish straight. Esteban Ocon, the Frenchman, is going to be very, very quick down this straight. He's going to have DRS as well all the way down in towards turn 1. So here he goes on my tail. We're looking in our mirrors, and we're going to move over to the right-hand side when he goes to the right, which we do perfectly there, defending against Esteban Ocon as the yellow flag has come out down in towards the start of Sector 2, end of Sector 1. So it'll be interesting to see which driver is out of today's race. Of course, we've had so many engine failures so far in this season already. We had about 3 in Australia, 3 or 4 in Australia, and 4 in China. So currently we've had 1 at the Bahrain Grand Prix here on lap 22. So it looks like reliability at this race has been pretty good. But it's Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas is out of today's race thanks to a mechanical failure. That is 2 races in a row for the Finnish driver, and it also means that he is still yet to score a single point in Season 3 of career mode. That is Season 2, sorry, of career mode. I'm getting ahead of myself there, but he is still yet to score a point in Season 2 of this F1 2017 career mode, and unfortunately, that was how Valtteri Bottas went out to today's race, and I can tell you that he was actually leading the race by an absolute mile, so that has got to be really, really frustrating there for the Finnish drivers. Once again, we're defending from Esteban Ocon, moving over to the right-hand side, the perfect timing just to sort of block off the Force India driver. Now up the inside, side by side with Nico Hülkenberg, but he's had a great exit through turn 1, sort of cutting across turn 2 there, so that was a little bit cheeky there from Nico Hülkenberg. Ocon goes on the left-hand side, but good tactic from both us Renault drivers, blocking Esteban Ocon, giving him absolutely nowhere to go so that he is not able to overtake either of us, because of course we are battling with Force India in this championship, so we would like to finish above them in the championship as well and finish above them in the races. Unfortunately, Sergio Perez is way up the field at the moment, but if both of us can finish above Esteban Ocon, then that'll be a fantastic result as Nico Hülkenberg now goes for the overtake on the right-hand side. This is a little bit new for us. We've made a lot of defensive maneuvers up the inside. This time, we're going to have to hang it around the outside of turn 1, but we're going to get a good exit through turn 1 and a good line through turn 2, squeezing Nico Hülkenberg through turn 2 there, but giving him just about enough room, and that is how we held on to P7 for today's race. Sebastian Vettel still ahead of us in P6. We have the likes of Massa and Sergio Perez ahead of us at the moment as well, as we cut ahead now to lap 27. Looks like Nico Hülkenberg going on the attack of me down in towards the final corner. He's got the inside line, but that will give me the outside line and a good exit through that corner, but unfortunately, the better tyres that Nico Hülkenberg has at this stage of the race is really helping us. Now we're trying to tuck back in that vital slipstream to try and get the job done. Up the inside, we're going to go 3 wide once again down in towards turn 1. It's just been a fantastic three-way battle between us 3. Myself, Esteban Ocon, and Nico Hülkenberg. And once again, we do manage to come out on top of it, staying into this P7 position ahead of Esteban Ocon, who is behind us, and Nico Hülkenberg, who is currently behind him. Unfortunately, it looks like the Force India driver has got past Nico Hülkenberg very late on in today's race, but now we're cutting ahead to the final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we need to stay ahead of Esteban Ocon. But what can he do down in towards turn 1? He's going to try possibly move over to the right-hand side, and once again, defending perfectly, move over to the right-hand side, the perfect time, but Ocon dives it around the outside. Nico Hülkenberg having a little look as well, and in towards turn 2, going to give him just enough room, but Esteban Ocon takes too much on the curb there and slows down as he rides over it as well. So that was a good defensive manoeuvre from myself as Lewis Hamilton wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. The Mercedes are finally on top in Season 2 of the F1 2017 career mode. It has come from Lewis Hamilton in today's race. Probably should have been Valtteri Bottas if it wasn't for that mechanical failure. He was so far in front of all these drivers, but unfortunately it just wasn't meant to be here today. Max Verstappen finishes in 2nd place with Daniel Ricciardo in 3rd, and unfortunately for us, it is Sergio Perez who finishes in that vital 4th position for the Mexican drive. Of course, that battle with the Force Indias is going to be crucial come the end of the season because we want to try and get 4th place. We missed out on it narrowly last season, so this season we do want to go for it and try and get P4 away from Felipe Massa. Finishes in P5, which is also vital. We could even have a battle with Williams over the course of the season as well, as Sebastian Vettel had a fantastic comeback drive. That collision with Kimi Räikkönen at the start of the race, getting the stop-go penalty as well, and managing to finish in P6 is a fantastic recovery drive there from the Ferrari man. As we come in towards the final corner now, it's been a fantastic race from us. Great defending against Esteban Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg, and we are going to come across the line for a fantastic P7 at the end of the day. And what a well-fought battle that was. A great race then here at the Bahrain Grand Prix, and a fantastic freeway battle between myself, Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon, which pretty much lasted half that entire race. Great battles and probably one of the best overtakes I've ever made on a Formula 1 game as well. But running through the final order for today's Bahrain Grand Prix, and it was Lewis Hamilton who wins here today, making a free stopper work for himself. So that Mercedes was lightning quick here, so a great result for them, finishing ahead of both Red Bull drivers, with Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo both making it onto the podium here today. Sergio Perez finishes in 4th, making it the best of the rest, with Felipe Massa finishing in 5th, and Sebastian Vettel, a great recovery drive there from the Ferrari man, finishing in 6th place. It was myself in 7th, holding off Esteban Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg at the end of the day. Esteban Ocon finishing in 8th, and Nico Hülkenberg, unfortunately, finishing just behind the Force India driver. Carlos Sainz as well gets the final championship point here today, with Kevin Magnussen in 11th and Lance Stroll in 12th, and Danny Kvyat also down there in P13 in that train as well. Looking further down the field, we have Romain Grosjean in P14, Fernando Alonso in 15th, and Pascal Wehrlein in 16th. So all those guys were right behind us in that train. So it looks like the McLarens and the Saubers weren't too far off my pace at the end of the day. So they were actually pretty quick compared to myself. I was just lacking. I just had no pace at the end of the day in this Bahrain Grand Prix, and I had to make those defensive maneuvers to stay in a points scoring position, or we could have been way down in the likes of P14, 15 or 16, battling with the McLarens and the Saubers, with Stoffel Van Dorn finishing in 17th, Marcus Ericsson in 18th. Then our DNF for today were Valtteri Bottas, yet to score a point in this season, and of course Kimi Räikkönen as well, after that collision with his teammate down at turn 2. Drivers' Championship then after the 3rd round of this season, and we have unfortunately dropped down into P6, losing ground on Felipe Massa, and now joint level on points with Sergio Perez as well, which is a little bit disappointing, especially after getting that podium in Australia. It wasn't a good race in China, and unfortunately we lost out quite a few points to both Felipe Massa and Sergio Perez here today. But the season isn't over. We still have a long way left to go, so there's every opportunity to get past both of those drivers and maybe even battle with the Red Bull guys as well. Of course, Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen aren't too far at this stage of the season away from me in terms of points. Lewis Hamilton closing up the points to Sebastian Vettel, which is vital for his championship battle as well. The two guys separated now by 15 points after what Sebastian Vettel had was an incredible lead over him going into today's race. That's really good news there for Lewis Hamilton. And finally, taking a look at the Constructors' standings. Unfortunately, Renault as well have moved down in the standings, down to P4. But we are only 2 points away from the Mercedes team. So another good race at the Russian Grand Prix could certainly move us above the Mercedes team at the end of the day. But it does seem highly unlikely, with the Mercedes, of course, being a race-winning car. Unfortunately as well, it looks like the Force India team have moved a little bit closer to us in the Constructors' Championship as well. The gap between the two teams is now 5 points in this season. But we are determined to stay not only ahead of them, but also ahead of Williams and get that 4th place by the end of the season. But that is it for the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula 1 content. And also don't forget to share this video with your friends. And I'll see you next time for the Russian Grand Prix, round 4 of Season 2. But until then, it's goodbye from me.